You don't need to argue with a narcissist. And if you're still doing that, you're already losing, because there's one simple thing you can say, just once, that will completely make them lose their mind. And when you do it, you'll realize they were never as in control as they acted. There's a quiet kind of exhaustion that comes from dealing with someone who constantly twists reality, someone who makes you question your own memory, your own feelings, even your own sanity. And the strangest part, it doesn't happen all at once. It happens slowly, conversation by conversation, until you find yourself over-explaining things that were once obvious to you. You start thinking, maybe I should have said it differently. Maybe I'm overreacting. Maybe they're right. But they're not. What's really happening is psychological. Because a narcissist doesn't win by being right. They win by keeping you emotionally engaged, constantly reacting against you, constantly trying to prove something. And the more you try to fix it with logic, the deeper you get pulled into their control. But here's the shift most people never realize. You don't break their control by arguing better. You break it by responding differently. Not louder, not harsher, just differently. And once you understand these patterns, you'll start to see something almost unsettling. Their behavior only works when you play your role in it. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through 7 psychological moves that quietly take that control away. Not by fighting them, but by stepping out of the game they rely on. Before we go any further, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Let's start with the first one. Move number 1. Refuse to feel small. At some point, a narcissist will try to make you feel less than who you are. Not always directly. Sometimes it's subtle. A dismissive comment, a sarcastic laugh, a backhanded compliment that lingers just long enough to make you question yourself. You're too sensitive. You always overreact. Why can't you just be normal about things? And without noticing, you start shrinking. You speak less. You explain more. You second-guess everything. But here's the truth. They don't need to prove they're better than you. They just need you to feel like you're not enough. The moment you stop accepting that feeling, something breaks. Not in you. In their control. Because a narcissist relies on emotional imbalance, they need you slightly unsure of yourself. So when you stand firm, not loudly, not aggressively, but quietly confident, it disrupts the entire dynamic, and that's where the shift begins. Move number 2. Don't let them rewrite reality. One of the most dangerous tools a narcissist uses is doubt. Not loud, obvious lies, but small distortions. That's not what happened. You're remembering it wrong. I never said that. And suddenly, you're not arguing anymore. You're defending your own memory. This is where many people lose themselves, because when you start doubting your reality, you start depending on their version of it. But here's the shift. Instead of arguing, you anchor yourself. I remember what happened. That's not how I experienced it. No long explanation. No emotional reaction. Just clarity. Because the goal is not to convince them. The goal is to refuse to be pulled into confusion. And when they realize they can't rewrite your perception, they lose one of their strongest weapons. Move number 3. Stop trying to win the argument. This is where most people get trapped. You want to prove your point. You want them to understand. You want the truth to be acknowledged. But here's the uncomfortable truth. A narcissist is not arguing to understand you. They are arguing to control the outcome. Every explanation you give, every detail you add, becomes material they can twist later. So instead of clarity, you create more openings for manipulation. And that's why the most powerful response is often the simplest. You see it your way, I see it mine. No debate, no justification. Because when you stop trying to win, you step out of the game entirely. And a narcissist, without a game, starts to unravel internally. Move number 4. Set boundaries without explaining them. Most people think boundaries require explanation. They don't. In fact, the more you explain, the more a narcissist sees an opportunity. They analyze your reasons. They poke holes in your logic. They twist your words. And before you know it, your boundary becomes another argument. So the shift is simple, but powerful. I'm not comfortable with that. I won't be doing that. That doesn't work for me. No long speech, no emotional defense, because a boundary is not a request for approval. It's a decision. And when you stop explaining your decisions, you remove their ability to negotiate your limits. That's when they start feeling the loss of control. Move number 5, refuse to engage on their terms. A narcissist often brings up topics strategically, not randomly. They choose moments when you're tired, when you're vulnerable, when they know it will trigger you. And once you engage, they take control of the direction. But here's the move most people overlook. You don't have to respond. I'm not getting into this. Now is not the time for this conversation. It feels uncomfortable at first, because you've been conditioned to respond, to explain, to defend. But disengagement is not weakness, it's control. And when they realize they can't pull you into the conversation they lose access to your reactions. That's when frustration starts building on their side. Move number 6, walk away without guilt. There's a moment in every toxic interaction where you feel it, that internal signal. Tension rising, energy draining, something feels off, but instead of leaving, you stay. You try to fix it, you try to calm things down, and that's where the damage happens, because a narcissist thrives in prolonged engagement. So the most powerful thing you can do is recognize the moment and exit. This conversation isn't respectful. I'm stepping away. No anger, no escalation, just a decision. And here's the key. You don't wait for their permission, because walking away is not losing control, it's reclaiming it. And when you do that consistently, they begin to realize something unsettling. You are no longer available for manipulation. Move number 7, say it once and mean it. At some point, everything comes down to one moment, not multiple explanations, not repeated arguments, just one clear statement. Calm, direct, final. I'm not engaging with this anymore. No emotion behind it, no follow-up. Because the power is not in the words themselves, it's in your consistency after saying them. Most people say it, then go back. They respond again, they re-engage, and the cycle continues. But when you say it once and actually mean it, something shifts instantly. Not always outwardly, but internally for them. Because they realize they can't pull you back in. And for someone who relies on control, that loss feels like chaos. Dealing with a narcissist is not about outsmarting them. It's not about winning arguments or proving your worth. It's about you recognizing the moment when something doesn't feel right and trusting yourself enough to stop participating in it. Because the truth is, a narcissist's power was never in what they said. It was in how long they could keep you engaged, explaining, defending, reacting. And once you see that clearly, you stop trying to win conversations that were never meant to be won. You stop explaining things that don't need explanation. You stop proving things to people who were never trying to understand you. And that's when everything changes. Not because they suddenly respect your boundaries, but because they can no longer control your responses. So if there's one thing to take from this, it's this. You don't need the perfect words. You don't need the perfect argument. Sometimes, all it takes is saying it once and meaning it enough to never go back. And when you reach that point, you'll notice something quietly powerful. They didn't lose control because you fought harder. They lost it because you stopped playing. If this made you see something clearly, type, "I'm done explaining" in the comments. And if you're learning how to protect your peace without losing yourself, subscribe, because this is what we talk about here. And save this. For the moment, you need to remember it.